Denir Prime sits in his woven garden on the tree of Yggdrasil, its many branches winding and turning, extending through the many different timelines of many different lives. He sits focused intently on the one timeline that should be his. So far, everything has been culminating toward an inevitable juncture. The point at which either he and his found family will succeed or perish. And he sits there knowing that he has little to no control over its outcome. The frustration has built over the years. Helping even less is the fact that the sole company he has communicates with him through a glowing red skull. It sits inert for the moment, but it's always there, always present, always listening, always ready. It takes you back to those days in Dragon's Rest and Amber Glade, when you felt so attached to a piece of this skull. It's hard to say whether you feel nostalgic or foolish. You glance through the timeline, looking at everything that led up to this point. The siege of Silver Rock. Your journey through the Feywild. And your splitting after returning from the future. You watched as your comrades became the sole ruling party of Silver Rock, deigned to them by the King Bahum, watching over the lands that would eventually become Nidhogg's wasteland. You watched as they played dignitary, hosting the royal dragons and the emissaries of the north. You sit in fear of what could come should the events between Ramses and King Bahum finally come to blows. And after you watch them save Wolfgang's long-lost widowed family from the scourge of Nidhogg, you felt a knot begin to tie in your stomach. Everything's coming to a head, and that timeline looks like it's on the verge of splitting. Will it crumble to dust, or will it grow and wind strongly up towards the heavens? You sit intently looking inward as the Denir that replaced you sits in commune with Tom, or should you say Arcanos. He's trying to prepare this Denir. Prepare him for the merger. A time where you can finally return to the lands to set things right. You've seen how so many of these timelines have gone wrong. You know what must be done. But what will happen to that Denir? A familiar voice beckons from behind you. Hello, old friend.
His lip curled to a snarl. slowly turns and glances towards the skull. Slow tilt of the head and remain silent.
You stare at the skull for a while. And then you hear the sound of a throat clearing behind you. You turn to see... Yeah, you turn to see Tom. Am I interrupting you?
Daenerys instinctively brought his quarterstaff forward, but as soon as he sees that it's Tom, it immediately lowers.
He holds up his hands for a moment, and as you lower your staff, he lowers his hands.
Bit on it. Apologize. I've had a lot to think about over. Know how long it's been. Time between here and the Sea of Dreams is fluid.
Yes.
I've been simply preparing, watching, studying, learning everything that I can.
You're cutting out real bad.
Let me try to get closer.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I was a little bit further away from my mic than normal. Daenerys looks back to the branch where he was previously, then he turns back to Tom. I've been introspective, as some would say. Watching, studying, planning, plotting, making sure that I have everything that I need, but I've been thinking about him. Him a lot.
Which him are you referring?
The one that you've been guiding, setting up for this entire situation. I know it has to be done. I know that in order for this to work, we, the two of us, have to become one. But I often wonder, is the fate of what's going to become of one of us better than, say, the fate of the others that were in the tree? I imagine it has to be a better fate, right?
It's hard to say, really. It'll feel odd. But as long as you remain true to your core and what you believe in, eventually it will all feel the same.
My only question is, he motions over towards the skull. Obviously, the pieces are still in that world. What happens to it and Red when the merger happens? Do I bring it with me? Or does it stay here? It's too dangerous to be left alone.
Yes. While there are many branches of this tree, there are those that do travel it from time to time.
You speak of the one with the hammer. That's much better to talk to when he's drunk.
Him, the one with one eye, a number that I can't even begin to understand, beings of pure energy. There are many denizens of the multiverse.
So I've come to begin to grasp the very beginnings of it. He looks over the staff in his hands. Strangely enough, as he's taken his time over the years. He's gotten somewhat accustomed to the woven branches at the top of the tree. There's little trinkets here and there that's been carved from the wood of the time tree. A number of masks, specifically. Various people. Of himself, Wolfgang, Nara, so on and so forth. There are a few that are tied to his belt. A number of masks that have been tied to his belt. But as he sits and ponders, he looks to Tom. How did you take this entire thing when it happened to you for the first time?
Oh. The first time. It was
I assume that it's
very
happened
confusing
many
process. Yes. There have been times where one of me resisted. Times where both of me were in agreement. Those are the easiest ones. But if ever the mind has drifted too far and the beliefs too different, it can be a struggle. So remember that when it does happen, where both of you came from.
He gives a nod. Remember where we came from. Remember that our goal is exactly the same.
You see a bright, kind of a spark from the timeline you just took your eyes away from. Like a little glint, a flash. Looks like it'll be starting soon. The next time we meet, I believe it'll be time.
Understood. I'll make my final preparations. Make sure that I have everything ready.
Take care, my friend.
And to you. He gives the slightest smile. And Tom, really, truly, I appreciate you coming back for me. The fact that you did so has been one of the reasons why I've been able to keep going all this time.
He glances at the skull for a moment, then back to you. I wouldn't leave you. Not like that. I'm not that kind of bastard. He smiles.
Shinir gives a smile right back. It'll be nice to see the bar once again.
I won't even put your first drink on the tab.
I expect that when that happens, I think I want to separate my tab from the others. You know, given that I think my path is going to be different than theirs eventually.
He nods. I believe you're right. And in almost kind of a sweeping motion, he sinks into the floor, traveling back into the branches of the world tree. You look back at the timeline you were studying. The glint of light. You begin to seek backwards. The time when you're not paying attention to its growth, it tends to grow a little faster. You look back, try to find where that glint sparked. And you find it.
There you are. What do you have to show me?
You see, sleeping in his bed, Wolfgang Connolly, tossing and turning a bit in his sleep, his mind clearly racked with numerous amounts of anxiety with the numerous threats he has yet to deal with and is currently still dealing with. Out the window, you can hear the din of the city as it begins to wake up. Wolfgang, as you toss and turn in your sleep, dreaming of incalculable problems, you feel a heat rising within you. And you're awoken to the sound of shattering glass and a massive boom. You feel the room kind of like shake as you like get up.
Immediately summons Crescendo and, without even bothering to put on his full outfit, just walks out looking for whatever may have caused the shouting and rumbling.
As you sit up and summon the blade to your hand, the first thing you notice is that there are flits of luminescent radiant flame engulfing your curtains, and that the blade itself is fully aflame.
What the? I look to check to see if my wings are out.
You check, and sure enough, they're flickering with fire, as are your eyes as you look in the mirror. As you hear like thud, 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 running up the stairs, two sets of footsteps, as Jamat just like slams the door open. Master Wolfgang, are you?
He's just trying to like pat out the flames with his hands at this point. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Elliot scurries in just behind him. Dad,
okay.
What? Cool.
He just looks over, eyes just burning with radiant energy. He flaps his wings a couple times.
They flit out after you begin to regain your control.
Okay.
I'll skip the caffeine for breakfast, I suppose.
Maybe I don't need anything else making me any more anxious.
There are a few very curious rich people outside, out for a stroll, who are just looking up at the shattered panes of glass at the Lord's window, and these light billowing smoke coming out of your room.
I'll just draw the curtains. Close them.
They all go about their day. They stand and look, gossip for a while, and then go off to spread said gossip.
All right.
What a fine tale this will make for afternoon tea.
That's never happened before.
I'd say not, sir. Not since you got it all under control. Anything in particular troubling your mind?
He looks over at Jamat with a face that just says, "Boy, let me tell you."
Well, I said in particular.
Men at a certain age, it just...
The last thing you remember from your dream, you remember kind of floating through an inky blackness, reaching out. It was the moment you were trying to retrieve your son's soul from the afterlife in the future. That moment you nearly pierced the veil of death.
Wolfgang just sort of stares down at his hand for a moment and looks up at the much smaller Elliot and then looks back at Jamat. It's nothing.
All right, well, got oatmeal ready downstairs if there's anything else you'd like for the day. Maybe you could take a day off, sir. You seem stressed.
If only I could.
Aye. Suppose that is the trouble then. Well, I'll get this all cleaned up. I'll get everything ordered and fixed up before you return today.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Least I can do.
He nods and looks over to his son.
Can you show me how to do that?
Well, at the rate you're going, I probably won't need to show you.
It's been a few days since you returned from the west. The skinwalkers in triage are like those that were wounded are on the mend. Luckily, none seem to have died from their malnourishment or wounds. The townsfolk, most of them don't seem to mind at all. There are a few here and there that are little less than happy with the new rough and tumble people that just happen to be chilling about the town. Notably,
I just picture a full werebear just sitting on the side of the road.
They very much do not look like they belong. The rags that they dress in are not the custom here. The
Different.
very. I mean, even their bone structure for the most part, they have very sharp, pronounced.
I'm just imagining a reactionary
brow lines. Depending on what animal they turn into, they have very pronounced features that are very animalistic and sort of almost primitive or monstrous looking to some people.
Yeah, I could just see someone who's very analytical pointing that out like it's proof that you can't trust them because their bones are different somehow. It's like science, you see, even though it's they're still people.
Yeah, for the most part, people are just are fine with it. I mean, this is a multi-racial town. You have half elves, you got dwarves, you got humans, halflings, the like. This is just a new group to the mix, but it is a group that is from essentially an entirely different culture. That there is, in fact, a lot of culture shock on their side, too. They've never been in a city like this. They're used to, I mean, you've been to where they live. They had hills. They made little houses in caves. They've been hiding and warring their entire life. They have never eaten food that they haven't had to hunt or gather themselves.
Truly, Silver Rock is the melting pot of Marmaria.
It's slowly becoming that. You've actually noticed as the years have gone on that quite a few dwarves from Dragon's Rest have emigrated their way up here to work the silver mines.
Only those mines. No other mines.
Only
just
those
the silver
mines.
ones.
Just the silver ones.
Yeah, just the silver ones.
No other mines have been discovered.
Yeah, none.
Apply the smithy trade, especially now that you have what is essentially kind of the start to Timry's rail system. You got a lot of people. You got a lot of people coming up here to start scouting the area. And,
Bullet train.
Are ready to kind of start building the railway, which will start here. And the first set of tracks are set to lead to Amberglade, thereby increasing the amount of farm goods you receive into the city. And eventually the plan is to get that train to run all the way down to Dragon's Rest to make trade even easier.
A direct line to multiple stops and heading to Dragon's Rest. I'm always
damn.
Okay. So a silly question. How long has this been planned for?
The initial plan was brought up to the, the business council of the city during the Reclamation Day events. That's where Timry was going around trying to secure funds and interest for it. And Silver Rock, being the richest city in Marmaria, was the best place to kind of start there. And he sure as fuck secured interest and funds with a lot of bankers and noblemen who would very much like to be able to trade
Everyone's got a
from
piece of the
further
pie.
away. Yeah.
And everyone's going to want to put down money for that because, like, the idea of light rail in general in this fantasy setting, like, that saves so much time because teleporting is so randomized.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good way to transport large amounts of goods and people a long amount of spaces on a very thin dime. Because Timry has already proven that he could create essentially a motorized vehicle that can fold up and end up in Wolfgang's pocket. So using that same technology, just on a bigger engine.
Capsule Corp.
Pretty much. I wear my influences on my sleeves. But yeah, so everything in Silver Rock has actually been going surprisingly well, aside from the other problems with the geopolitical climate.
Time for anxiety. Are things going well? Must
gotta-
be the last time that's gonna happen.
I'm sure nothing untoward will occur.
Of course.
Now I just gotta worry about everything outside of the city.
Yeah, it's not,
What
like,
do
you,
you
it's, not,
mean?
it's not like you made enemies or anything, whatever.
We don't have enemies.
It's not like I know for a fact the world's gonna end if I don't do something about it.
It's not like I've been there.
It's not like I've literally seen the consequences of my own actions.
Oh my god.
Or inactions.
Yeah, your own actions. Not mine. Not mine.
But yeah, reflecting on the current state of events, aside from a few unhappy people, mostly notably in social circles, a lot of this negative buzz seems to be coming from very familiar groups to you by this point. Those that associate with one Figer Loangrop, a noble banker who hasn't had as much success with his loan business as he had previously since you came into your governance. He is still very well off and very well liked amongst the business community, as he helped many of them get their starts. But a lot of your regulations and rules have stopped a certain percentage of his money flow. But as of yet, he has not done anything to truly go against your law that you know of or can prove.
Well, good.
So yeah, you enjoy a breakfast and prepare for the day ahead as you go over a little bit of the paperwork that's been left downstairs for you to read. It seems that Talia's shadow operation. What did you call your shadow forces?
I believe. I
remember
the
it was-
Venatores Umbra.
Yeah, Venatores Umbra.
The Shadow Hunters.
Yeah, your shadow hunters, your Venatores Umbra. She has assembled what is essentially the first squad and has been training them. They are up to snuff by her standards at the very least. So if ever you have an assignment for them, be it espionage or anything that you might not want on the official books, so to say, they are ready.
Oh boy, my own Black Ops organization.
Yeah, you have an ONBU. They are your CIA.
Oh fuck yeah. It's so fucking cool. Perhaps I should get them on something, but
As you continue to ponder that and eat your oatmeal, Asmo. You wander through the streets. Your prisoner, a Mr. Hobbs Bergen.
Hobbs Bergen.
it's coming up to his release day here. You're about ready to set him loose, but you have a little unfinished business with the man before he's let out of his cell. He's been essentially drying out and sobering up for better part of a week now. But as you still don't really have any charges by which to hold him other than attacking you in interrogation, which was enough to hold him for about as long as you've had.
Yeah.
You make your way into the cells. Earth gives you a salute as you walk in.
Earth.
Earth.
Just salutes real quick. Real quick, we had a second prisoner. What was her name again? It was the one who was also brought in because essentially she lied for him.
Oh,
Do you remember?
The house servant.
that's right.
Yes.
Let me scroll back to her.
No, it's okay. It's been a while. It's been a while, and that
it has been. But you are correct that you do have her.
I would assume she's been released already. Correct?
I mean, she
She's
essentially, she would have been released, but she is without job. If you would want to find her, I can find her name. It's in these notes somewhere. Likely. More than likely. Eventually.
no worries.
But either way, you find,
Mr. Bergen.
yeah, Mr. Bergen.
Well, Bergen, it's one day away from your extended stay with us coming to a most dramatic end. Asmo says as he peeks his, snout through the bars of the prison cell.
He rubs the side of his face with the missing eye. Clearly there's an ache there that's chronic as he kind of stirs from his cot. Lucky me.
You hungry?
I could eat.
Oh, good. Well, if that's the case, I think I'd like to have breakfast with you in my office. Earth, can you escort Mr. Bergen to my office?
Earth tromps up behind you. Earth.
Yeah,
As
just
you-
grab
as
us some
you-
stuff.
as
Just grab
you-
us some stuff from next door.
As you begin to make your way to your office. Would you have had people prepare stuff for you?
No, essentially, I said just get something from next door. Bread and coffee, essentially. Just nothing really elaborate, Because,
you have
Asmo
you
on the
have
way walking there, he might have stopped to grab a couple pieces of fruit or cheese, just basic foodstuffs for what he's about to do.
You have like a small wedge of cheese, a split loaf of bread, and some yumberry.
A shark cookery board.
Yeah. A little yumberry jelly to spread on it.
Nah, there we go.
As
right.
you hear the dragging chains and shackles, Earth kind of marches him and just kind of holding him by the shoulders, just sets him down in front of your in the door of your office.
That's good. You can just sit him down right here, and maybe just shackle the legs to the bottom there.
Yeah, his arms and legs are both shackle bound, double ironed.
How, Earth, if you don't mind, would you be so kind as to unshackle his hand clamps, his hand shackles?
He nods, remembering exactly what happened to Mr. Bergen the last time he tried to attack you. So he basically reaches down, unlocks the shackles at his hands, undoes the chain that wraps them, but runs the chain through the little guiding loop in the floor that's between his feet, so he can't run or do anything.
That should make it easier for you to have breakfast, wouldn't you say, Bergen?
You're too kind.
Well, considering. Maybe this is just the right amount of kindness, considering. Please. I tell you to have a seat, but you're already having one. But let me sit down, and would you like some? Asmo gestures to whatever liquid we have. I don't know if we have coffee in this universe. I forget.
Yeah, you can have coffee, you have tea, you have water, juices, whatever.
All right. Coffee or water?
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee's good. And Asmo just kind of pours out like a half cup. Now don't go throwing that at me.
He still kind of has like a bit of a bruise on the back of his neck from when you suplexed him through a table, which he kind of rubs at. I don't think I will.
I was just lucky I was fast enough to catch you. Asmo winks as he sits down and cuts himself off a little bit of meat and cheese, puts it on a cracker. This isn't poisoned, by the way. This is actually good food. So, eat up.
He reaches out and just kind of grabs at a little bit of the bread and cheese and fruit and just kind of like sets it in front of himself. Sips from his coffee.
Well, Mr. Bergen, you got swept up in an investigation. And unfortunately, you did yourselves no favors with the condition you were in at the time of you being apprehended. And unfortunately so, in the middle of your internment here in our little jail, you also didn't exactly go out of your way to make the best impression. However, I am not one to ignore the facts of the situation. Let me ask you this question. Asmo drinks a little bit of coffee. He sips a little bit. Should have said that after I ate something. How has your enforced sobriety been now that you're 7 days out of it?
All of the old pains have returned. I'd rather say I don't enjoy it too much.
Well, I'd rather... Well, it's hard to say what is one to say, as someone who myself has had quite the... And Asmo just taps his eye. Quite the eye injury myself. So I can only imagine how much that hurts. From time to time. I've seen you wince, I've seen you rub it, and also the back of your neck, but that was kind of my fault. I also know when you're withdrawing on something, it can leave you a little bit emotionally in flux. And that's how I'm going to see your little swing you took at me when I questioned you, when you were in the middle of detoxing. Extenuating circumstances leave me to believe that I cannot punish you for how you behaved in that scenario, because you were coming off a drug that, to be without, was driving you insane.
Appreciated.
You know, it's interesting. I myself found myself in a jail cell nearly 5 years ago, in a town nearby here, for breaking the law. Kind of running a highwayman scheme where I threatened but never did anything, but it worked all the time. Because sometimes you do what you think works until, eventually, someone catches you. And someone caught me. And I was in a jail cell, and he gave me 2 options. Number 1, he could let me go because he couldn't keep me. Well, he could. He just didn't want to because I was obnoxious. But number 2, he offered me an opportunity. See, I feel like you've had a rough go of it. And I think that's why you found yourself in a drug hole. Using. Everyone's got their poison. I mean, we sell alcohol at every damn pub here in town, and I myself enjoy it. I know for a fact there are fields of hemp in between us and Dragon's Reach that people also enjoy. Everyone has their vice. But some vices can be quite divisive, if you will. And I feel as if what you were addicted to was doing that to you, and inadvertently your arrest was almost like something out of left field that kicked you out of your system. Now, I'm hesitant to release you because I'm afraid you're going to go back and use again. But I also know for a fact that it's hard to avoid it when it's so readily available everywhere. So, just 1 second. Asmo eats a little bit more. I want to offer you something. A temporary. I mean, it's an idea I have that I think some people would give me some of their opinions about, but I want to offer it to you now because I believe in paying it forward. How about you? Do you think you can stay off what you're off now, or are you going to go right back to it?
Depends on your offer.
Well, the thing is, if I offer someone a job, I don't really want them using something like that.
He looks
Then they're
up.
not-
He looks up at you, like kind of making eye contact for the first time when you say the word job.
You know, it's interesting because when people do this job, oftentimes they think they're like above everybody else. You know, they have to be, in charge of everything. That's not the case. It's being able to detect what's going on and leaving people to their own devices, more or less. So in this scenario, you have a very rare experience of being someone who knows their way around combat, are of a formidable size, but you seem to get yourself caught up in a substance that really doesn't do much for you aside from as you waste your time. So I'm curious that if I offered you let's say, what's the right word for what I'm going for? Temporary doesn't sound appropriate because it implies it'll be ending soon, but how about... I'm actually trying to think of the word right now. What am I trying to say?
Contract.
Nah, that's not it either. It's like something. There's a very particular word I'm going for here. It's like we're gonna give you a shot. We're gonna give you a testing period,
trial run.
Thank you. But perhaps a trial run of being Earth and myself's assistant in certain situations, and also your knowledge of what you've done, what you've seen, what you're involved in. That is knowledge that at the time you had it may not have had much worth, but now, well, I think that's something very useful for you to pull from, especially that I'm giving you another chance, considering. I let her go too, the one who spoke up for you, the one who covered for you, because she likes you. To what degree, I do not know.
He kind of like squints a little bit and like rocks his head back, like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Well, the girl who came in.
Yeah, I know. He
dragged in
doesn't
'cause
know
she
what you're
left.
talking about.
Oh, you're not aware of what happened, are you? Well, she kept her voice down. But the certain girl at your place of work, the farm, owned by, where all those drugs were found and how you got implicated, she covered for you. And you seem surprised by that.
I never worked at that farm. I worked for the people who owned the farm. I built.
Aslan puts his hands out to the side. He's
I
like,
built a stand for them. I'm a carpenter.
Well, you made an impression on her because she covered for you when the constabulary asked her questions. Were you nice to her? You kind to her?
I guess I'm just a charming guy.
Oh, I can't deny it because, I don't think you threatened her because she didn't seem scared of you. She seemed worried about you. And that's the thing. And throughout this investigation, even the guy who ran the drug den was worried about you to a certain degree. The person you worked with temporarily was worried. People care about you. And she seemed to think that you deserved another chance. So you two got caught up in something that had next to nothing to do with you. And that's a shame. But in a lot of ways, maybe this could be a reset for you. Because as far as I'm concerned, you owe her a big thank you. You really do. Because you could have got sucked into more what we were going on about. And in the end, your attitude at the time when we arrested you, you could have just agreed to everything that was going on despite us, but you didn't. And honestly, after your talk with one of the most wonderful people in this town, the drow lady you spoke to, and how she spoke to me at home, it's safe to say I want to give you another chance, and I want to give you that opportunity because I was given such an opportunity. And you have people rooting for you. I don't even know who else roots for you. Lani, I'm going to ask you a question here, because I don't know if I actually wrote... I'm double-checking if I wrote this down. Hold
The
on
girl's
one
name was
second.
Darvis, by the way. I found
The
it.
girl at the girl at the house?
House maiden of Green Fringe Farms, yep.
All right, so quick question. Remember when he was drugged? Remember when when I was questioning the guy who ran the drug house?
Mm-hmm.
I questioned him, and he gave me a name. Now, I wrote the name down. I've lost the name I wrote down. It was the name of a girl. Specifically, I was going to use it in interrogation if it came to it, but eventually he swung for me before I got to it, so I never used it.
Delilah. That would be Hobbs's daughter.
Hobbs is?
Bergen's daughter.
Bergen's daughter. Did I discover that through us investigating?
I believe so.
Okay. When I questioned the drug guy, the drug den owner, of which I don't even know how to deal with. I don't even know how to deal with that because I'm all over the map on that one morally. You mentioned it. You said a name in your drug trips. You said it multiple times, and he picked up on it eventually because he's not stupid. He runs a drug den, so he pays attention. Now, I say this not as a threat, not to judge you, because I don't know how you're going to react. You see, I'm trying to be nice to you here. Put food in front of you, got you coffee, offering you a gig. But in your drug trips, you said a name Delilah.
He looks back straight at you. His eye has kind of like a serious fire behind it.
You loved her, yeah?
She was my daughter. She was killed by a monster.
Aspen kind of leans in. If it's safe to say, can you say what kind of monster?
The kind that burns the world around them. The kind that looks normal. The kind that ain't.
Ain't what?
Normal.
You know, it's interesting. Because in the end, I know what you mean. People who don't look bad at all are the biggest monsters of all. And that's the danger of it. And that's what we're trying to do in this city. Is we're trying to prevent those from ever taking root again.
It's this damn city that's trying to make them... you
know,
got
while
a
you were
damn
gone...
school for them.
Yeah, we do. We also have a school for, oh my goodness, several things now. We also have essentially our Wolfgang is running a school of trained people to fight monsters, literal monsters.
You hear the shit that comes down from up north?
I've been up north.
Then you know.
Oh,
you
yes,
know
I
what
do.
they become.
Well, some of them become, not all of them. This is not a philosopher's debate here. Nothing is 100% anything. Just like you, not every single drug-addicted person who comes into my jail cells is deserving of condemnation. Some of them deserve a second chance. Now, in the end, we may differ about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I just think you got twisted up at some point. And I want to see if I can untwist you here. Because, I'll be honest, and this sounds silly because you're a human and I'm a snake. But you remind me a little bit of me. Not the same, obviously, but a little bit. So in this context, I want to give you another chance. And I'm not going to say you should do it for the person you loved. But I do know you crawling back into that drug den and just going through it all. It's a waste of your time and your efforts and your talents. Besides, I can pay you.
Can you
But
tell
that
me
means
something?
What's that? Oh, Asma starts eating a little bit more.
How'd you lose your eye?
Would you believe me if I told you a god cut it out?
No.
That's why I hate that a god cut it out.
He looks confused.
Well, that's like how Asma lost his eye, right? In the middle of the combat with the demigods when we traveled west.
Yeah.
Unless I'm misremembering.
You lost it in, I believe it was your fight with,
It was the
Dogan's
closest,
sister.
the second closest fight we've ever had in this damn game. It's like a lot of res jumps. Like, heal! 1 health. We're up! It's one of those Final Fantasy fights. And that's how I actually got this. Would you like to see what took my eye out, actually? And Asmo pulls out the Chimera.
The golden blade clatters onto the table.
Nah, that doesn't work. Let's go for the other one. And Aswo changes it to the claw. The actual, the fang.
Sorry, what form was it in first?
I'm going to assume that it was in its shell form before.
Then yeah, it's a bowl on the table, and then you touch it and will it to become a blade that rests in your hand. He kind of like winces, like kind of like shifts back a little as it changes in your hand so quickly.
Oh, I know. Surrounded by magicians and those who use magic all the time, and I have none myself. So I have to arm myself with different magical weapons to fight against those who use it in such an evil way. Fire against fire, so to speak. But in the end, this is the blade that took my eye. It's a costly thing. However, I've gotten quite the weapon out of it. Sometimes we can wield what hurts us and use it to prevent others from being hurt the same way.
He can't seem to take his eye off of it, honestly. Like it is a miraculous looking blade.
All right. Fine, I believe you.
I barely believe it myself, truthfully. Well, you got busted out of that prison cell, and I had to travel up north to help guard the border. And then ever since then, it's been a slow ride of finding out how small I am in this goddamn world. And I've had to figure out my own way in a lot of it. Now here I am, with the same job as the man who changed the direction of my life. Now, that's what kind of looks like very mixed feelings talking about him, by the way, because of the context of everything. So would you be interested in doing some work for us? Or give it a shot at least?
I leave here and I'm probably a dead man.
Because of the drugs or something else?
The people that hired me, they'll think I talked.
But you didn't. You didn't talk. Now, you leave here. They move on you. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I mean,
Well,
unless they somehow heard that I haven't talked.
Well, you've been in here for... you've been in here for a while. So, let me ask you this question. Do you hate these men more than you're afraid of them?
No.
So, if you're part of the constabulary, that would mean that these men move on, a city official. Are you okay with the potential of that happening? And the ramifications of that?
He looks down at the blade, up at you, grabs a piece of cheese and chews on it. Go ahead and give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Chang can shoot! 11.
He chews for a while. Takes a sip of the coffee. Kind of downs the last few drops of it.
Suppose I ain't got much else to lose. What the hell?
Okay. Here's how we'll play it. You'll be staying here for a little while, in the same prison cell. However, with the door unlocked. Consider that your room temporarily. Sending you back to wherever you live right now would be a dangerous move.
I don't have a house in the city.
Well, then we'll figure that out as well. People who do work for the constabulary have room and board covered. Partially. Asma thinks about that. Shit, I think so.
I mean, they're given a salary and a stipend, and those that can't afford a house, there is a barracks with cots.
And if that's not to your liking, we have a barrack with cots. But you would be surrounded by a bunch of police. So, that's what kind of gestures like, maybe that's not your thing yet. However, if they try to move on you in this context, they can't. So, essentially, you're untouchable right now. So, what we'll do is we'll do this in stages. And if they try to move on you with these new ways of getting to you, we'll catch them. I hate to say that you're officially sanctioned bait, but in a lot of ways, they just can't resist taking a bite out of you. Like a delicious piece of cheese. Mm-hmm.
Just, if I can ask a favor.
Oh, well,
It's
sure.
more of a specialty, a suggestion.
Okay. House was like, all right, kind of like doing that, like, hands clasped together, bemused. Okay, where's it? All right. Okay.
If ever you have problem with one of them fire-blooded freaks, I've gotten pretty good about getting around them and dealing with them.
Well, I don't relish the day that might happen. However, people who use magic are people all the same, so they have the same foibles. And there may come a day for that. And if you're saying you're more of a specialist, I'll consider that too. However, you are not to take it under your own call to make a move on anybody at all. Just like any other police officer or any other constabulary officer that I have here, they do not move on things just because they feel they should. You do not react, you think and act. Yes? And we can agree to this, yeah?
Sir, yes, sir.
This isn't the army. You could just say, I gotcha. Besides, people calling me sir who are taller than me throws me a bit. Asma kind of smirks when he says that.
And I gotcha, I suppose.
Alright. So, you're gonna spend one more day here, and I'm gonna talk to Earth about the logistics of this, okay?
All right. Back
All
to
right.
my cell then, I guess.
He kind of grabs a couple of like blueberries and stuff from the plate and
Take
pockets them.
take the food. Take the food with you, man. Take the whole tray. Just take it.
She starts grabbing stuff and just
Nah, just go. Dude, we've kept you pretty high and dry. You should eat now, okay? Just
Okay.
eat. Eat, just for the love of God. We paid you.
he stands up and just like waits for somebody to come and unlock his like the shackles that are going through the loop between his feet.
All right. Well, Earth.
The door slams open.
Earth!
Oh, good. We have a new temporary recruit here. We're gonna give him the full VIP service. He's gonna be staying in his cell for a little bit. He's gonna be eating. I want to keep his hands unshackled for right now, okay?
He kind of like waves his hand in a la-di-da sort of fashion.
Oh, please, Earth. You know if you were a criminal I arrested you, I would have given you the same treatment. Because
He
you're just so
nods.
damn likable, Earth.
He nods.
All the ladies know how likable you are in town.
He
Think I don't hear about it?
he kind of glances to the side, gives like a I don't know kind of look to his face.
Multiple women. I'm aware of multiple women who are just enamored with you. You're such a great listener, and that's what a lot. Yeah, I know.
He unlocks the shackles at the guy's feet and then slaps him on the back to get him walking back to his cell. Like a bunch of the food just kind of tumbles off the tray, but he keeps walking.
All right, and now we can feed him now because I think he's detoxed enough that he's not going to vomit it all up.
He waves as he walks the man back to his cell.
I just employed a very dangerous man. That's what he thinks to himself. I just employed a very, very dangerous man.
The word
Angry.
bad apple comes to mind, but
Angry young man. I'm caught up with just like I'm imagining the Simpsons joke where they have Sideshow Raheem. I'm gonna hit you with a pie in the face. I wouldn't. Angry young man. And that's the end. There we go. And that's, I think Asmo's good there for that.
Alrighty. Nara.
Yeah?
As you wander about the slums, trying to keep up with the day-to-day here, making sure that all of your investments are on the up and up.
Business, business, business.
People around here have really started to kind of take a shine to you. Your efforts to better some lives, make some of these businesses flourish a bit more, keep the streets a little bit cleaner. You've noticed that as the days have gone on since you've been back here, trying to help people out and make things work, the local officers actually feel more comfortable walking down this way as well. So the crime is slowly starting to clear up around here. You actually see a few more kids playing in the street and not just like hiding off in random buildings here and there.
Nice, nice.
But it hasn't just been you. You've heard rumblings of another man who kind of strolled back into town. Apparently had lived here for a while. He was a cleric at the church for a time before Kench went all super monster on this entire group. Go ahead and give me, what would this be for just general intel gathering? It's been a while since I've DM'd. Hold on, let me look at a character sheet.
Investigation?
Yeah, just a general investigation roll, probably.
I really wanted to say intimidation, but yeah. I know that doesn't really apply. I just would prefer to hit that one. Investigation is 10.
Okay, yeah, the you haven't quite been able to get a name of this individual from anybody per se, but you know that he's kind of a older man, kind of dusty brown hair with lots of gray and white in it at this point in time. And as you wander through, checking in on people, you actually spot what looks to be an old, like a man in what looks to be like kind of raggedy old priest robes.
Okay.
He's standing, like he's actually kind of surrounded by a small group of children as he's appears to be handing out like little bonbons and treats.
She will spy on him.
How so?
Is there anywhere for her to like slink along the shadows and like listen to what he's saying?
The morning sun is kind of like peeking over, so the streets themselves are a bit sunny, but the alleyways, yeah, sure, there are still places to slink about. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. 8.
As you
Not very good.
as you slink up, he doesn't seem to notice you. He seems preoccupied with the children, but you do get kind of like tapped on the shoulder.
Whips
Kind of
around
nervously.
lightning fast.
Don't hurt me! Hi!
Hello?
Hello. You probably don't remember me, but hi.
Name? When
Oh.
did we meet?
I gave you my go-away dust.
I remember, yes. How are things?
It's doing all right. Trying to keep getting better. I just wanted to thank you for... I think you changed my life that night. And seeing you again, I thought you weren't real. I thought you were a hallucination, and I just needed to make sure.
Oh, no, definitely real. Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of things who are real, who is that man?
Sure. He looks around the corner. God damn it, where did my notes go? There they are. He looks around the corner, sees the old man. Oh, that's Father Gandrick.
Father Gandrick?
Yeah, he used to live around these parts back when I was a kid.
Huh. And, how was Father Gandrick back then?
He was nice. He liked living around here, unlike, I mean, he had means, but he lived down here with us because he wanted to be with the people, his flock, so he said. He took care of, kind of like what you did. He liked to help people who were down and out, and then he just left when everything started getting bad with the old lord.
Ah, Kent, right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Turns back to him.
Yes?
Do you know him? Have you met him?
Not yet. I'm sure we'll cross paths before long. In about 2 minutes.
Oh, well, I won't keep you. I wanted to thank you again.
Well, of course.
And what was your name again? I just kind of started calling you Night Angel.
I like that one.
She stands very heroically, hands on hips, feet spread apart, chest out.
I'm Nara, Queen of the Maw.
Well, thank you, Miss Nara. Truly.
I think I had asked you to, keep track of things, right?
Yeah. Oh,
You have.
and I have. Father Gandrick's back in town. He points at the priest.
That's great.
Is there anything else you
Anything-
wanted to know?
Any goings on? Anything seem suspicious? Any rumblings of, issues?
Well, I still hear that, I mean, some of the guys at the shelter were talking about employment in the sewers, like gainful money, but
In
they
the
don't really,
sewers?
but they don't really talk about what, and if they do, they all have different stories. It's like some guys say they go down there and they just carry packages. Some guys go down there, they say they're cleaning. Some guys go down there, they say that they just stand there for hours, but they always come back with money.
Huh. And do you have any idea who pays or how they pay?
No, they don't even remember who gave them money. It's weird. They just go down there and then they say that they do stuff and then they come back with money.
That doesn't sound good.
It's a strange one. I'll give you that.
Do you know where the specific sewer is that they go to more often than not?
You'd have to ask the guys around the shelter. I can ask them for you, though. They might be able to give me a bit clearer answer on how they get these contracts.
Yes, I think that would be wise. Just don't take any of those jobs.
Okay, even if it would help me find out?
If you do, make sure to take lots of notes before you go in, and do not speak of anything you know to anyone.
All right. And he starts to kind of walk away. Oh, could you teach me how to write?
She blinks.
No, too much. Sorry.
Can you ask someone who knows how to write that you trust, the innkeeper, or the fellow at the potion shop? Ooh, fellow at the potion shop. Can you ask him to write a note for you to leave for me?
Okay, Mr. Popper?
Yes, Mr. Popper.
Yeah, I can leave information with him, sure.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
And make sure if you do end up going to the sewers, you go to Mr. Popper immediately afterward.
Go to Mr. Popper after the sewers.
If you go.
If I go to the sewers, go to Mr. Popper after.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Night Angel.
And he starts walking away.
Thank you. Fellow whose name I don't remember.
You never got it, because he never gave it.
That guy, like, Lani, you were doing, like, almost a pitch-perfect impression of Jeff Fisher from American Dad, and it was killing me. I was trying not to laugh the whole time.
Been experimenting with, like, ever since I heard, like, RFK Jr. speak, I'm like, that is a unique fucking voice. How the hell does that happen to a man?
Who's RFK? That name should be familiar.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Robert Kennedy Jr. He's awful politician,
Oh,
but he has
that's
such
the
a
one who
unique
has-
fucking voice.
Oh, he's got that Oh, now no, like that. Like,
Yeah, I don't even know how you. But anyway,
that's a lot of smoke.
clearly, yeah. He wanders off, and as you turn back, it turns out that your low stealth roll has left you noticed by Mr. Gandrick as the children have dispersed.
Don't usually see one so well dressed down these ways.
Yes, well, I have business all over the place.
You must be the Night Angel I've heard so much about.
That would be me, Night Angel.
A wonderful moniker.
And who are you?
Oh, forgive me. I am Lorne Gandrick.
Lord Gandrick?
Lorne,
Lorne.
at your service.
Very nice to meet you.
As you glance him over, the man is, as you previously saw, he's wearing like old holy robes. Looks to be of. Go ahead and give me a religious roll with advantage, if you want to denote what priesthood he is a part of.
5.
With advantage. With advantage.
Oh, okay, great. Just kidding. 18. I know so much about religion.
The advantage is because it is one of the two prime religions of this world.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
And one that is very prominent in this town. He appears to be decked out with regalia of the Lord of Light and Life. But there is something odd about the sigil that he wears around his neck that an 18 just doesn't quite get there. But it is high enough that if you make a perception check, you might be able to figure out what's...
Oh, I'm gonna. Oh.
Man.
Wow.
While that's...
I've never seen somebody
With a plus
like
12,
tempt
that's still
the
a
universe
13.
like that.
So I got a nat 1 and it's a 13.
Okay. So, the sigil that he wears around his neck, it looks as though it is, just the blazing sun of the Lord of Light on a medallion. Very similar to the halo of the Connolly family crests, but there's something odd about it. You look around you trying to find the steeple of either a steeple of a temple or maybe even the town's flag to sort of judge it against, but it's just off, but it's weird religious mumbo jumbo, so whatever.
Because it does look weird, in what way does it seem weird? Is there like a squiggly on it, or
There's either something missing or just something different about its coloration. You're like it's on the tip of your mind, but you just can't quite pull it. Like, it doesn't look like there's been anything added to it.
only because I rolled a nat 1, it's gonna come out like this.
Why does that look weird?
Huh?
He did that.
Oh. The sigil. Yes,
He holds it up, and then he kind of like pokes his finger through the center where the crest of the sun would usually, have its, like, most, where there would usually be kind of like a gold disc sitting in there, and that's kind of the hint that he gives you. It looks like an eclipsed sun rather than a full sun.
After the monstrous deeds of the former lords of these lands, I began to question my faith. I can't truly say I am a follower or a true believer of the Lord of Light, as it were that he would allow so many to suffer under the hands of the powerful. So I decided to dedicate my life to the people rather than the gods.
Fair. Some of them can be pretty bratty, not gonna lie.
You seem to speak with experience.
Oh, I've met enough.
That sounds like a story to be told over a drink.
And he pulls a flask out from his hip, kind of like jingles it a little, pulls like what appear to be like 2 communion glasses out of a case that was sitting at his side, and pours out what appears to be a brown liquor into the glasses.
Join me.
What is it?
Brandy.
She will take it and sniff and swirl it and do all of the random tests that she could do to assess if it is indeed brandy and if there's anything weird about it.
Go ahead and give me a perception for the sniff.
Great. Please don't be the worst. 20.
It seems to smell warm, alcoholic, oddly expensive given the man's dress.
Huh.
Very well aged. No hint of poison in the sniff.
She's gonna do an asthma tongue test with a little
With your little mlem, you can either give me a medicine check or a survival check.
It's gonna be medicine because I feel like it. 16.
It has the traditional bitterness and tongue sting of alcohol. Nothing that seems to be off on that front either.
She kind of, she's holding the cup with both hands and blems it in front of him and then looks up. It's like,
Well, when you've drank with some gods, get a little wary of what's in the cup.
No worries. I imagine that you have been through quite a number of rough situations.
How one could explain them, yes. This is actually quite nice from the brief taste I just had.
Yes. I used to live around here, and I had quite the assortment of brandies and wines and fine spirits and liquors.
Oh, liqueurs.
Man of the cloth come across such nice things.
Man of the cloth around here, quite easily.
I suppose that's true.
It took me a while to realize the error of my more opulent ways, believing that God himself ordained that I be given these gifts. It took too long for me to realize how fleeting they were. In a world that takes so much from so many, only to give to those that take.
she blinks a little.
Yeah?
That's why I returned. I heard the land itself had been rejuvenated under its current governorship. Lord Connolly has truly revitalized these lands.
Doing okay.
Personal experience with him, I take it.
Yeah. Talks a lot. I don't always listen.
I used to be on the High Council of this city, but when the Baron before the monster died, that all changed. And then I began to see everything for what it was around here.
Sound like you got a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
Not anymore. It's just nice to see the place thriving. And nice to know that there's someone else carrying on my mission here in the less fortunate district.
People in this area.
Sorry, what was that? The first part didn't come out.
Lots of fun people in this area.
They certainly live more interesting lives than most. And they struggle to survive. It changes their perspective on many things, and I've come to find that their gratitude shines the deepest.
Have you been back in town?
I've been back for a few days now.
Have you noticed anything different, odd, new?
I'm still getting my bearings, I'm afraid. There's much that's new. Everyone seems a bit happier. The rich all seem a bit richer. And the poor are still the same, unfortunately. Though, certainly in higher spirits than when I left.
Working on it.
She stands a little more proud. Like, this is mine.
He's kind of swirls his glass and then sips from the brandy a bit.
She mimics in her little proud moment. She's like, oh, I will sip too.
Yes, sipping.
So these gods that you've met, face to face or just a presence felt?
Both.
I have chosen a very good drinking partner today. Which ones?
She studies his expression, demeanor, everything when he asks that question.
Insight?
Natural 20, 27.
You can tell that this man has had experience with the otherworldly as well. He seems genuinely curious as to what your experiences were like, which gods you may have interacted with. His face doesn't seem to betray which gods he might know, but then again, you're very early in this conversation.
So as she lists, she will study his face.
Okay. I'll let that nat 20 roll.
I've met Arcanos.
His eyes kind of like widen in a bit of surprise, like that. Okay, you got him beat there.
Arcanos. What's his name? He has the dog. Bike. And
Oh, the god of war.
yes.
I hear there's
What's
a
his
new
name?
I hear there's a new one.
Yeah. I'm bad with names.
Let me give him a religion roll. He hasn't spent a lot of time out there, but as a priest, or even a former priest,
I believe the worshippers call him Doged.
That's the one. Doged with dog. Yes. Okay. And then Solomon. And then
Of the living death.
yes, yeah.
And then she's super casual about it.
He
like,
as his eyes kind of like glance over you, like he actually tries to like stop you there for a moment. You met the one true offspring of the two primal gods.
And when you say two, do you also mean Mother Death?
That would be one of the two, yes. The dichotomy.
So yes, that one as well. And then,
she's looking at his face as she says that one.
He looks confused more than anything at that.
And then, I feel like there were a couple more.
I had heard that your people were omens of his. But for that to be an actual truth, that you have been face to face, I am eternally curious.
Well, you know, we varying degrees of meeting or having had met. So, you know, yeah, but that was one on the list of communication. I feel like there's like 2 or 3 more, probably.
Well,
Probably when they were drunk. I don't know.
Well, you have one in your town right now I've had a few drinks with.
Which one?
The goddess of fertility and love. They call her Lush.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know Lush. Oh, goodness. Who doesn't know Lush? He drinks a lot.
She very much does.
Yeah, I can't keep up. I did try. But yeah, that's wait, who have you met? I feel like you've met people.
Well,
Like
I've
the
had-
gods. I mean,
I've
you
had-
met a lot of people.
I've had drinks with the goddess of love.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had words with the father of light.
That one's Arcanos, right?
He points up at the sun.
A little higher than that.
Which one is that? I'm bad with names.
Light, dear.
Is that like Father Light, Mother Death? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, the god of light, life. The beginning of all.
Right. Yes, yeah. Lord of Light, right? Lord of Light and life and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Oh, that's right, because Arcanos and Solomon, aren't they bros? Like brothers or something?
Well, the pantheon all springs from the god of light. Solomon himself is the only begotten son of death.
Yeah. Yeah, he's salty about that too. But well, that's neat. What'd you guys talk about?
Having a conversation with a god can sometimes be frustrating, as I'm sure you're aware with your extensive knowledge of them.
Oh my goodness, so frustrating. They're always vague.
Immensely. Speaking mostly in metaphor.
Like, use words. What? Right?
It's what shook me from my faith.
Oh, don't get too mad at him.
I begged and pleaded to just save those who are in the most need. And all he could tell me was go forth. Do it my damn self. Essentially. So at that point, what's the point of worshipping?
And he takes a big, long sip.
How has his general reactions been? Has he been pretty straightforward and honest, or does he seem like he's cloying or prying or anything else?
He seems genuinely curious about your experiences with the gods. That seemed to come from a genuine, probably formerly professional curiosity, but now just a general curiosity of his fascinating new drinking partner. He doesn't seem to be trying to mislead you or goad you in any way.
I mean, you kind of get it though, right?
I suppose, in a way, I just figure that those that have unfathomable power, the power to,
He kind of gestures all around.
create life. I figured that they'd have the power to save it, protect it. to
I mean, are we not still here?
As a species, I suppose we are.
And are you then completely discounting Mother Death?
No, I would never do such. I spent much time in her lands, learning from her
What?
priests.
You what?
Oh, I traveled far and wide to find my answers. Seeking the truth of the Pantheon.
And did you find anything in your travels?
More questions, few answers. Plenty of interesting drinking partners.
And he raises his glass to you.
She raises it, sips.
If there were if there were to be a war among the Pantheon, which god would you side with? Now, typical bar jockey might just say, war. If it's a war, then you side with the god whose domain it is. But if there's a war among the gods, then what would remain after? Can't be more war, right? So you can't choose war. So you say the god of death. But if death were to truly win everything, then there would be nothing. Oblivion. So logically, maybe the only answer is light and life. But life without death, what is that? Eternity. An eternity of living tends to lead to suffering from what I've seen. What side would you choose?
Counted free will.
I'm unfamiliar with this pantheon.
I suppose that's mine then.
Well, then allow me to be your first worshipper.
I'll take it. Although there might actually be a line for that, I'm not actually sure.
With the way certain people around here are buzzing about the Night Angel, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, yeah, that's a good name for a god too, right? Like,
Not a bad one.
Night Angel?
At the very
Yeah.
least, a demigod.
huh. Am I a demigod? Demigod Queen of the Maw?
Hard to say.
We'll work on it.
If the gods themselves walk this plane, how much could possibly separate us from them? A few thousand years and unfathomable power.
Limitations to everything, right? Like, an all-powerful god can, create a bunch of stuff, for sure. But, like, then you have other stuff you have to take care of as a god, and things can get really confusing and, like, broken and hard, and time and different space and planes of existence, and it's all kind of gets drippy every now and again. So, it's a lot to take in. So I can kind of see how they're a little distracted from time to time, but that just gives us the opportunity to show that we can do anything we want.
She smiles and stares, blinks
Whatever,
slowly,
I do
takes
what
a
I
sip.
want.
He sips with you.
Whenever I have that conversation, I flip back and forth. Most of the time, if I were to choose a side, I'd choose the god of love.
You have a crush on Lush? Should I tell her?
Oh, she knows.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
But then there's the one that was wiped from the Pantheon.
What?
Destruction.
Studying his face very carefully right now.
The biggest question I was left with after all of my searching. How does one stop a god?
He also seems to be studying your face as he brought that information up. Do you wish to hide that you're studying him?
Oh, and she will also smile while she's doing it.
Is that a god you're familiar with?
And what if I said yes?
I'd be curious about what you knew about it.
Well, then I suppose I'd be curious about what you knew as well.
Fair.
He pulls a coin from his pocket.
How
Okay.
about we play a game for it? Heads. I'll tell you what I know first. Tails, you go first.
I want to flip it.
He hands the coin to you. Roll me a d20 and call even or odd.
Even. 12.
You win.
I win.
Well, look at that.
Well flipped. In my studies, in my journeys, I came across a strange sect of people in the north. They carried with them these glowing gems. This particular man, fascinating individual, appeared to be on the verge of going mad. He was just a traveling bard. Traveling from place to place, singing his songs, paying his way. He made for a wonderful traveling companion for a while. Apparently he had been cursed by the local archmage, the Lich, to go and perform at some centennial celebration. Get him just drunk enough, and you begin to see his psyche wave. He told me of an ancient being, one of unfathomable, God-destroying power. And he claims to know this being intimately.
He begins to kind of lower part of his robe a little bit. And you can see a what looks to be kind of like a puncture wound scar over his right pec.
through the course of our conversation, he told me a great many things, and I probed and I prodded for more information until he snapped and stabbed me. He began to laugh and cackle as I began to bleed, and I began to laugh with him, sharing in his madness. He told me that the gods were all fickle, were just creatures of inane habits. One day they would all burn, and the god of destruction would see to it. He threw himself into such a laughing fit that he blacked out himself. Maybe it was from all the booze. Maybe he laughed too hard, but I sat there laughing.
Oh, you cut out. Where'd you go?
I'm still here. Can you not hear me?
No, where'd you go? There you are.
I sat there laughing as he passed out. And finally my fits of laughter ended, and I left him in a drunk, passed-out stupor. I ran and ran through the snow, leaving him for God knows what fate. But that was my introduction to the god of destruction. I went on to try to find as much information as I could, but alas, you are one of very few that even knew of that god to begin with. So, your turn.
Stares deep into his eyes after, during and after that whole conversation. Is there a flicker of the jester inside of this man?
Give me another insight check or an arcana check.
Insight it is. 12.
His eyes seemed to drift deep into thought while he was telling this story, as if reliving a nightmare of a memory. He doesn't seem to betray any signs of the jester's corruption that you had seen manifest itself in the future and in any interaction that you've had with him in the current timeline.
It's been about the same for me, actually. I ran across some people with those crystal-y things you talked about. And, I don't know that I've had, quite that kind of an experience. This bard, what did he look like?
He was a full-blooded elf, dark hair, very handsome face, charming fellow.
Full-blooded elf?
Yes. Went by Grinspire, I believe.
What?
His surname. Grinspire. Fezziwig, if I recall correctly.
That's what I thought you were gonna say.
Yep.
This was 5 or 6 years ago. Maybe longer.
We're, Nick, above game. Fezziwig, do we know his current location? It's been a minute.
The only thing you know is that he is not currently imprisoned up north anymore. You do not know his exact location.
Well, that is just fascinating. I've been meaning to meet Fezziwig for a while now.
I wouldn't recommend it. He's temperamental. At least from my experience, I wouldn't be surprised if he was already dead. Man seemed to
Maybe.
be very unhinged.
Sounds like it. Huh. Fascinating.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if what would this be? This would be I have some kind of magic detecting situation, I believe.
What are you
magic.
what are you trying to read specifically?
I'm trying to figure out if something is up with this dude. Like, is he actually normal human man, or is there magic going on? Is there like a, where the jester can hide in your brain?
That would
Something.
I mean, you just tried to take a psychological read of him. If you want to make an Arcana check against him, you're
Yeah,
free to.
let's do that. 21.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't seem to display any of the telltale signs of somebody who has been charmed or bewitched or hexed.
How did you come across this Fezziwig fellow?
It was about 5 or 6 years ago up north when I was traveling after just leaving here. I snuck my way northward across the forested portion of the border. Made my way inward. Found him at a roadside tavern about, I want to say a few kilometers outside of the abandoned town of Bordeaux.
Outside of Bordeaux 5 to 6 years ago?
Yes, he was at a roadside tavern, playing his music. He's a wonderful singer, great musician. I tossed him a few gold and offered to buy him a drink. He politely agreed, told me of his situation, and our conversation unfolded.
And above game, how long ago was the Bordeaux massacre?
8 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before the campaign started.
Well, that is just a wild and crazy story. Ah. Nuts.
I can tell you have a few years and a few of your own under you as well.
Oh, I really do.
What was Arcanos like? I've only ever read manifests.
Confusing. Way too bright.
As you're talking, a loud ringing comes from you hear it in the distance first, coming from kind of like the front, one of like the front gates of the town, followed by another klaxon like bell a little closer into town, and then the bell at the Kylum Diaboli begins to ring, which usually indicates that something is happening close to the front gate of town.
Oh. Surprise visit, I suppose.
Yep. Guess I need to go live up to my name.
She's gonna study his face before she leaves of his reaction to this whole situation.
Night Angel.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna fly off and go take care of things, you know?
I'm not sure that I got your true name.
Nara.
Very nice to meet you, Nara. Hopefully this shan't be our last.
I'm sure it won't. Nice to meet you as well, Lorne.
A pleasure.
And you flee the scene.
She's gonna hop on her pixie stick and fly right off. But also gonna be really studying this dude as she goes away.
He collects his glass from you and waves politely as he, as you fly off. He starts to kind of wipe the glasses down and set them back in his pack.
Okay. Yeah.
And as you fly off to figure out what the commotion is, we're going to take a quick break. Hey guys, Lani here. I just wanted to thank you for rolling with us. And if you wanted to catch us live, you can do so almost every Monday at 5 o'clock Central Time over on twitch.tv/Lanipator. Now, back to the show. All right, there is a lot of commotion kind of buzzing around the streets. A lot of people talking about how the Lord blew up his own house. Which seems to get hushed, as Denier, you would have been alerted from your office during your instructions with Tom that there appears to be a party approaching the front gates. There's smoke on the horizon slowly streaming its way towards your front gates.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you meet up with Wolfgang and Asmo down in the essentially the main thoroughfare of the town out in front of the Kylum Diaboli.
With Asmo asking, so the house was blown up. Like, why did you do it, though? You're not explaining that to me.
It wasn't my fault, all right? It didn't really blow up. It's just a window broke. All right?
I want you to remember this next time I blow up a house. I just want you to remember that, okay? I'm saying, Denier!
Oh, we planning on blowing up houses?
We're not.
You
Nobody's
shouldn't really
blowing
do
up.
that.
Nobody's blowing up anything until I say so.
There we go.
As you guys get closer to the front gate, you see Nara kind of like flying and swooping in. She's actually kind of been waiting for you there a while. A bunch of the town guard is standing out front.
By the way, you all get 13 temporary hit points.
Excellent.
Yeah! I like that amount.
Asmo, just kind of like, is she like on the ground?
Are you on the ground or are you
she's
just
on the-
floating?
Close enough to the ground, but on the pixie stick.
Just high enough to be like looking over the front gate's wall?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so she's about like 20 or 30 feet in the air, give or take how much of a vantage point she wants, but she'd be able to see you coming. And Nara, sure enough, you do see what appears to be like a billow of smoke and what appears to be a banner carrier. The rumblings that you heard from guards, as well as like some of the, field people that ran up, appears to be lizard men.
Oh.
Lizard men led by a knight of some kind.
Oh, fuck.
Nara, what do you see?
Give me a perception check, Nara.
31.
You see, as the banner kind of like flaps in the breeze, your immaculate elven eyes, even like as you kind of glare through your tinted goggles in the daylight, still able to make out the shape of what appears to be that crude triangular red dragon face on a white banner.
It's Nidhogg's people, right?
Appears by that banner, it would appear to be that they appear to have constructed a crude retinue of sorts.
Hey, who's the knight that's leading them? With my great eyes.
At the distance, you can see kind of like pocked, rusted metal on what looked to be a rabbit-shaped helm. It does not appear to be Yorick.
Yeah, okay. All right, that was my question, too.
Shit.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
As they get closer, you make out the form of T-Wig leading this party.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, okay.
Nara's gonna call down.
T-Wig!
That was not what I was expecting. Asmo just looks at the other two. I wasn't expecting that at all.
And an army of lizard men.
Ugh. I know them.
It doesn't appear to be a large force. It seems to be, yeah, it's kind of like a small, less than a dozen appear to be traveling with them. Something that's not necessarily an intimidating force, but something that could defend itself if attacked.
Okay.
This does not appear to be a siege.
Tiny army of lizard men.
I
And
want
she'll,
all of you to make.
fly
I
back
want
down.
all of you on the ground. And now that you fly down to the ground, Nara, I want all of you to make me a perception check.
18.
7.
Denier. A nat
Nat
1.
Oh.
I'm too focused on the fact it's fucking T-Wig.
Wolfgang.
No.
Oh, it's coming.
Oh,
You
yeah?
better believe.
Wow.
It's getting all churned up. Here we go.
Yeah? I'm ready. I'm ready.
Here it comes.
I'm ready. Ready to know how much you perceive. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's a little, maybe it's somewhere in between.
Could be everything. Could be nothing. Could
Watch
be.
it be like a 4.
But what? What do you mean you got like a 4?
I will be excited to see. As soon as it. Oh!
Oh!
It's a 7.
Damn.
It's a 7. Wow,
Oh, man.
everyone got 7s but me.
Except Nara.
Yeah.
Who?
Except
It,
for
who
Nara.
literally, it's impossible for you to roll a 7.
I know. Wait, no, I rolled not a 7. Great.
Yeah, you rolled you
technically
technically rolled a 6 on the die,
A
but
6.
you-
So it's
impossible for you to get a 7 with 12 as your
true.
base perception.
I miss Toy Guy.
Yeah. The retinue approaches. The guard, like as they kind of like approach like the main road that leads to the gate to the city, the cadre of guards and soldiers that are around you are kind of like looking for an order. Like, do you want them to go intercept? Do you want them to stand down? Do you want them to hold the line?
I'm gonna go out and talk to him before this becomes a thing.
Yeah, they're just kind of
Wolfgang
like
will-
standing and looking for orders from Wolfgang and Asmo and Denier and
Wolfgang will hold his hand up to the guards, as if to say, "Stand by."
Stand by, guys. Asmo just kind of underlines it.
All right, so they stand with their weapons ready, but they part. And do you walk ahead of them, or do you
Yes.
stand behind them?
Okay.
So you
I'll walk ahead of them.
Okay,
Okay.
you guys walk out to meet this party that's walking up to the gate.
Indeed.
As you approach the mechanical form of the Arcanaton, you can see it walks with kind of like stiff limbs. It's as you get closer, Nara specifically, you can hear that its joints are kind of like creaking as it walks. And as it gets within kind of a good talking range, it holds up a hand. The lizard men stop. They appear to be decked out in a bit nicer armor than you remember seeing previously. As in, they are wearing armor now, whereas before they were wearing scraps and crap. This appears to be well forged. Good afternoon.
Who am I addressing?
You're addressing the Herald of the Dreadworm.
Does the Herald of a Dreadworm have a name?
Not anymore.
I see.
How many guards would you say they have with them, Lenny?
12.
12?
Slightly less than a dozen, so about 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're standing in a 2x2 line of 5. Couple of bowmen near, like about 4 bowmen near the back. Couple of shieldmen with spears up front, and some sword wielders in the middle.
Hey, Lanny, can I roll an insight check to attempt to determine if the 2 souls are still there or if they're hollow and at this point?
It's a difficult check, but go for it. Modified 20. From what you can tell, reading the emotions of just through the voice and the stance, you can tell that there is some sorrow, some hesitance, some sadness in this being that's standing in front of you. It's hard to tell whether that is purely of the currently controlling consciousness or whether it is apprehension of a second voice behind it. Does that make sense?
A bit. Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah.
It has come to our attention that you have taken from our lands. The Dreadworm wishes tribute, payment for what was taken.
Wolfgang sort of folds his arms in front of his chest. And what do you believe was taken from your lands?
You hold yourself as a fair and just lord of these lands, yes?
I try to be.
If a rancher were to have been robbed of a flock of sheep, what payment would you have the robber give?
That depends whether or not the sheep can talk.
Livestock is livestock. All beings are inferior under the great Dreadworm.
Can I insight them?
You may.
I want to see if they mean any of the things that they're saying.
Can I also
23.
insight for how much they want to fight anyone right now?
You may, Nara. 23, they absolutely do not mean a word of what they are saying, but they have to say it in front of the troops.
24?
They have no intention of fighting. If they chose to fight, they would be slaughtered.
Cool.
That's true.
Leans over to Wolfgang.
They don't want to fight.
He sort of, his expression flattens, and he unfolds his arms. What sort of a tribute would be fitting for repayment?
Monetary compensation for pound of flesh stolen? Or
So,
foods? Or land?
Asmo really quickly just kind of like whispers in Wolfgang's ear. We should have him. This meeting should be had in private, and we should separate the leader from the troops.
Are you here to discuss terms?
I am ordained to do so, yes.
Then by all means, let's step into my office so we can discuss these terms.
Very
Make
well.
sure.
I will
And we'll
see to
feed-
it. I will see to
Feed
it.
your soldiers as well.
And they shall cause no harm as long as no trouble is raised amongst them.
Very well. You are welcome in my city, Herald of Needhog.
She, the Arcanaton turns over their shoulder and nods to the troops who kind of stand a little more at ease as they begin to march through the gates with you. There is definitely a commotion now as you wander through with what appears to be a force of foreign soldiers. Rumor has obviously reached here of the dragon, or the beast that lives in the west with its lizard army. And no doubt rumor spreads as they march unobstructed through your gate. People seem to give you a wide berth. People especially as as you make your way through the residential zones, a lot of mothers hurriedly rushing their children inside.
Asmo would like to pull Urf. Is Urf there, or is he still at the constabulary?
Oh, he's around for this.
Urf, I want you to put one guard to one person. I want 10 of you following them all the time. Do you understand me? You being the one of them. Also, keep
nods.
keep one constable at the constabulary, no matter what.
You have more than enough troops to make a 1-to-1 guard of these troops possible. As well, you notice that there are quite a few Kylum cadets, any that aren't currently out on mission, just kind of standing at the corners, ready for if anything happens to go wrong.
Pick a pub and take him to it.
Earth.
Do they also pass any, obviously empty alleyways?
I mean, any city has its alleyways. Is there anything in particular that you'd be?
She will pull Asmo into one of them.
What?
You get dragged away from the cadre. Or from the,
What? No, what?
She, deep tongue kisses him.
Make me another perception check.
Great.
I'm imagining that whole thing
20.
about the guy. Oh man.
Asmo?
What am I? Do I need to perceive something here? I don't
Oh, he asked for one, so I would just give it.
14.
Okay. It's a good kiss.
Ah,
Great.
great.
Great. She
Appreciate it, but
comes away from it.
That army strategic shit? Hot.
Then she walks out.
Asmo just adjusts his outfit.
You hear a voice behind you, Asmo. Good for you.
Asmo
Wait,
turns.
Who?
Asmo turns.
You see nothing.
Oh! Wait, what? It's fucking you! You is following him.
You!
Me? I see.
No,
Who's on
oh my
first?
god.
I don't understand. How is it good for him?
I'm out. All right.
pejorative or
Thank
the
you,
name
everyone.
who?
Thank you. Bye.
I got work. Adjust his outfit a little bit. Adjust pants. Pants grab. Adjust slight. All right. Yeah. Strategy of the movement. Yep. That's what carries on. Thank you. I absolutely. Also, I did the thing you suggested. That
She's
guy
already
was-
gone.
Oh, she's gone.
She
oh,
walked
man.
away the moment we deal with this later.
It's not as bad as when she just slapped my ass randomly in the middle of the day. But anyways,
As far as you're
Just-
aware, aside from the voice you heard, you were just talking to the air.
Exactly.
Wolfgang's eyes just sort of followed you two as you broke off from this huge group and just shakes his head.
Right now, guys?
Asmo comes back out, totally disheveled, like totally thrown off guard, walking like a robot.
Walking a bit slower.
Daenerys will turn to over towards Teewig. Great Herald of the Dreadworm, as a sign of good faith, while you are in this city, I notice that your armor appears to have taken a great many blows of battle in the Dreadworm's name. While you are here, as a sign of good faith, I would like to see your armor repaired and made in better condition, if you would acquiesce to this. Low-key, Teewig looks in bad shape, and Daenerys wants to get Teewig repaired a little bit, because Teewig is the homie.
Your efforts are appreciated, but we should have our discussions first.
Very well.
Should we end amicably, perhaps we can find an arrangement. And it is not through combat that I have earned these wounds. The air of the Caldara is corrosive.
I understand.
You make your way to the Kylum and find your way to Wolfgang's office, away from prying eyes. Where is my inside sounds? This whole thing. That one do?
I think I'll be hearing something.
There we go. You make your way into Wolfgang's office.
We are free of eyes and ears in here.
This office is entirely private. This is where I have all of my private conversations, dealings, what have you. Nobody knows what's going on in here except us. And it is safe from magical prying as well.
Yorick told me that you may be able to save my son.
Odd expression takes over Wolfgang's face as he hears her talking earnestly for the first time. She says her son, and he's like, ooh.
Yeah, Grandpa's side piece.
Yeah. It's possible, but we're looking into methods of how it can be done. How we can pull it off right, I should say.
Whatever magics did this to him are ancient and very powerful. Far beyond any knowledge I gained in life or afterwards.
Would you say the magic at play is that of gods?
Well, we already know what did this to him.
The same corrupting force that makes its way into his camp now.
It's the crystal. And the power within it as well.
And those that control it wish to make him an ally. Though, as they see it, I am willing to bet they wish him to be a pawn. A piece to be played against another piece on the board.
The useful idiot.
The eyes glance at you, and if a robot could glare, it would. You get that sense.
I mean that as politely as I can. You'll have to understand Teewig when it comes to him. There's a lot of emotions at play. Asmo's kind of got his arms crossed. So just like against the wall, like not really talking.
Yes, that was the other one's name, wasn't it?
Was.
Was.
They still reside, but were I to give up control, I don't know that I'd ever be able to do so again, and doing so is essentially choosing death, leaving me powerless to help my son.
With sort of a parental recognition. Like, yeah, that's how far he would go as well. He nods. I see.
They have a deep fondness for you.
The Arcanaton looks at you, Wolfgang.
And you look very much like him.
He sort of clears his throat and looks off to the side, a little uncomfortable.
Hee
You mean my grandfather?
Yes, he was a stalwart ally.
Yes. I'm certain.
He also saw the dragons for what they were.
Yes, I know that about him as well. He was a member of the Hands of the People when they were still an active organization.
The what now?
The hands of the people.
Oh, right. The Hands of the People were a...
The mortal races that banded together to fight the tyranny of the eternal rulers.
political cabal. Now defunct.
Petty
I believe
politics
by-
cost him his life. The man who should have been king.
You're referring to my grandfather. Again.
Funny that now you sit upon a throne your own, given to you by the very hands that set about his demise.
I don't know if it's arrogant to say so, but maybe it's a sign that though they're imperfect, they're at least trying. You know, there was a time, I believe you saw that yourself, that I sat in on one of the hands meetings.
It was after I
didn't-
awoke.
I didn't necessarily agree with the way the dragons were running things.
And look where you are now. A shield between them and an even deadlier force. Stuck in the middle. The king of no man's land. I do not envy your position.
Trust me, some days feels like I've been made a prisoner rather than a king.
Perhaps you
But
are. A shield as your ancestors were a sword.
if being a shield means protecting the people that are under my charge, protecting the people that I can, then I'll be whatever I need to be.
Unfortunately, my business here is true. The dreadworm, you can see this
like the posture of the Arcanaton shifts as it appeared to even be just a force of habit calling him the Dreadworm. Seems to rack them with disappointment.
He does expect tribute, and he is temperamental enough to strike at your lands.
Would he really open up that can of worms, so to speak, and just anger?
With the arms and armor he was given by the army to the north, he is foolhardy enough to do something.
So he'd be willing to do it.
And with the powers that he wields within himself, arrogant enough to believe that he can take on the entire world. He's been held back by better counsel, focusing on smaller prey in order to sate his desire for conquest. But that won't last forever.
Wiser counsel, would you be referring to his original name's brother?
Yes, my son Yorick. My eldest.
Yorick is also a bronze scale dragonborn, correct?
He is, but he's full-blooded.
These counsel, the bad counsel he's receiving, how many are trying to gain attention around his ear, so to speak?
They aren't probing him to make any action, so to speak, but by providing him with weaponry, munitions, and armor. They're simply feeding into his will to conquest and conquer and destroy. They know that he is a time bomb. They're simply wetting the fuse with oil.
Is as we can't even say it really, is Nidhogg, is he aware that they stand to gain from them pushing him in this direction?
He's been counseled to be wary of ulterior motives, but any inference that anyone might be getting anything over on him is typically met with an obstinate anger. He believes himself infallible. Surrounds himself with sycophants and worshippers.
And you.
And I put in what good counsel I can. Typically that means guiding him towards lesser prey, lesser conflict. Hence my presence.
Whose idea was it for you to come out here?
Mine.
Did you come out here so he wouldn't attack automatically?
I came out in place of his general. He wanted to send an army. I simply stated that the magnitude of his greatness would show better with a small force. To show that his mercy was as boundless as his greatness. That his judgment was righteous. But mostly so that I could speak with you all.
How long do you have before this overture that you've given us no longer matters?
Hard to say. On a whim, he could just decide to attack any farmland he wishes out here. His brother will hold him back as well he can. As commander of his army, he does heed his word.
Those who push him to move on this land, what was their reaction to your suggestion?
The only ones that push are those that are too ignorant to truly understand what war would mean. The ones that we left outside. The bloodthirsty, those that hunger for greatness in battle, those that grew up in a land of war knowing that conquest means greatness. Those are the ones that he hears more often.
Bunch of
They
people
hunger
bored
for
with nothing to
greatness
do.
in battle.
Yeah, they want something to do.
We've got a sort of an expert, I guess you could say. His eyes slowly move over towards Denier.
I heard tell that you had dealings with my son in a...
It's a little complicated. It's long story short that I was put in a situation where we confronted Nidhogg in a parallel timeline. Well, not necessarily parallel. At that point, he was at the height of his power, fully grown into a large beast like the three in Dragon's Rest.
And your wizard, Denier. That is the name, yes. You were able to enter his mind.
In that timeline, apparently I was able to. But in this timeline, I have also entered his mind. Early during his, I believe, his transformation into what he is now, I felt the distress of his mind. I entered it, and I found two aspects of his personality, his base personality. I managed to set a foothold inside of his mind, hold back the action. And there his ego, his id, stand waiting for my return.
I don't quite understand, but would this be something you could do again? Something that in this other timeline you were able to do?
It is plausible, yes. There are also other plans and other things that may also work.
I want to be upfront and clear. Violence is our absolute last option.
Wolfgang, do you remember what we went across the Great Sand Sea for in the first?
The lily of the lunar well.
Right. The Lily of the Lunar Well.
And it cured Bahum of the same corruption that is plaguing Nidhogg. And he points at T-Wig. And before T-Wig left, they planted versions of the Lily of the Lunar Valley outside the Wizzlestein Tower.
Oh? They did. You're right. They did.
Do you believe that this flower may be potent enough an ingredient to aid you in your magics?
It's worked before. We've seen its effects.
I will obviously not be welcome down that way. Whatever means you need. Okay.
This shaking hope almost kind of pervades the voice for a moment.
Wolfgang sort of hesitates for a moment, but then he reaches out and grips their hand.
A bit of rust kind of crumbles beneath your fingertips as you grab
Oh,
the
jeez.
hand. The armor itself has not been doing super well. I mean, it's still solid, but it's a little crusty.
He looks her in the eye and says, sorry. He looks her in the eye and says, Garrick was important to us all. We'll do our best to get him back.
As you say his name for the first time since you all walked in, the eyes kind of like slit inwards for a moment. this look of, I guess, robotic sadness and just like all of this stuff that appeared to be pent up inside of the soul that's inhabiting this body seemed to shine through for a moment.
You... Whatever tribute you decide to deliver, I will tell him that you will come yourself. Deliver it one lord to the greater lord, as supplicants. That will be your opening. None will stand in your way.
Looks like we got our opening. We just need a little time to prepare.
And we also need to prepare for those who want the ear of Nidhogg. They will try and stop us. Or at least, they will try and dampen what we attempt to do. Safe to say.
Prepare what magics you need. Get whatever ingredients you have. If there are any that are on our side of the mountain, let me know. I will have my envoy reach out for them.
He nods.
My shadow
How
is
much-
swift and dutiful.
How is he?
He's well. He's quite taken to this body. Directionless. He follows like a lost dog. He's got a sweet nature to him. But he's direct and very efficient.
There is one thing I should mention before you go back. I don't know if you know already.
What is
There
this?
exists a bard by the name of Fezziwig. If he tries to enter your territory, don't let him. But don't pick a fight with him either. He has designs on your son.
The Arcanaton nods.
Sorry, you were saying, Denier?
Lanny, while they're having this conversation, would it be possible for me to be working on T-Wig with mending, prestidigitation, so on and so forth, to try to at least fix T-Wig's armor, repair it in even the slightest bit, since we can't get Timry here immediately?
Yeah, you can do some, like, kind of surface level work here. Obviously, this is years and years of wear. Give me an Arcana check.
Will do. That's a 30.
At the very least,
God
you're able
damn.
to, like, you are very, like, you focus on the joint areas, the things with the most wear and tear, the things that need to function most. As you kind of work your magic around, you know, just like bibbity bobbity booing all over her. That could be some sort of no. You fix the joint areas, some of like the heavier plated parts, like the chest plates, parts of the face and abdomen, anything that covers like vital mechanica, is so caked with rust that it's kind of hard to really work, but at the very least you fix up the limbs and the moving joint areas to the point that they are no longer caked in rust and are able to actually function.
Oh. I haven't been able to move like this in years. Thank you, Denier.
You may have been in the back seat the entire time, but you're still one of us. We take care of ourselves.
They appreciate you. we are on the same side, and while we are all on the same side of this conflict, I believe.
Gives a slight but sad smile, and I believe so as well.
It would behoove me not to leave empty-handed. I would like to leave with a sign of what is to come for the tribute.
What could I give him?
Look at how much cow.
We do have a lot of cow.
You're in fact flush with food.
We're
We
flush
can-
with cow.
What of the
Well-
Yumberry?
Oh, I was
Hey.
about to say we are flush with things that we
You
have
want a
too much
dragon
of.
addicted to Yumberry wine?
Well, no. It's just given to him and his forces. How he uses it is up to them, and we have an
First hit is
abundance.
free.
We have an absolute abundance of it, and that's kind of a problem right now.
Why don't you give them mostly cow and then some Yumberry liquor?
He has recently taken a mate. It may be seen as a wedding gift of sorts.
Wait, you... No. Is their name Bordiche?
She doesn't seem super keen on the idea either.
Well, I would assume not.
A gift from the Lords of the North.
I think some Yumberry wine would be fitting in that case.
I'm
Even though
gonna fight a dragon.
Wait, did I legalize that?
Well, you have a lot of it in lockup.
Ah, fuck.
You don't need to worry about it because then we would be disposing of it.
It's true. The only way it's being gotten rid of now is just a few of the officers taking it.
Yeah, it's better to just get rid of it, really. You know.
Fuck it.
Wolfgang?
Yeah, why not? We'll give him
Yeah,
one.
great.
Plus,
Give
on
him a
top
gift
of that,
basket.
Silver Rock is the only place that can legitimately grow it. So if he destroys Silver Rock or destroys the farmland, he is fucking himself over because he'll get addicted and he won't be able to get any more supply.
Yeah, the first hit is free.
I don't really know if we want to targeting the dragon, not hitting its head. I can't help but feel if we wanted to avoid any kind of combat, that's definitely a certain way to make sure it happens.
Well,
Please
obviously
don't
we're
get
not
my
gonna...
son addicted to drugs.
No, it's just a little bit of drugs, just like a little bit. A performance enhancer. That's what we'll call it.
Ew.
I'm joking. Above game, I'm joking.
I don't have the organs to gag, but stop.
Enough. Right. I suppose that's that then.
Very well. Then I have delivered my message, and if we could have a wagon to carry this tribute with us, it would be greatly appreciated. A convoy through your land would be a good enough sight for the dreadworm to be appeased for a time.
Of course.
A voice whispers in your ear from the corner, Wolfgang. A
Huh?
male voice. He appears to be kind of like clad in black. The uniform is still being worked on, but he does seem to have like a black version of the Kylum sigil etched into this kind of very. It's essentially like a medieval stealth suit.
Mm-hmm.
As he steps out of the corner. Sir.
Huh.
Sorry.
No, you're taught well.
Madame Talia wishes to know what is to be done with the visitor's shadow.
Leave it. We know it, and it means us no harm.
He nods. And back to the shadows.
How long was he standing there?
I'm so bad at security.
Shadow Step is a very fun move.
It really is.
Shadow Monk. Yeehaw.
One of the best kinds of stealth characters.
It's pretty cool.
Then I
We'll
believe our business is adjourned.
I suppose so.
Your soldiers have been taken to a local pub. I can get my constable to find out where they are. And we've had guards on them the whole time if you wish to reunite with them.
You have my gratitude. Have them arranged at the front gate and await my arrival.
Okay. Not even going to be spending the night here. Probably a safe bet, considering.
They prefer sleeping under the stars anyway.
Fair enough. Asmo dips out real quick to go communicate with Urf.
Nara has been poking the spine of every book in the room.
As you go out into the hall, you see Talia just kind of standing there with you. You looks over to you. They found me. Hi. Do you say anything to him, or you just walk past?
Oh no! Sorry. Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
I don't,
you walked
when you
out. You're
refer
the
to-
one. You're the
when
one.
you
Who
refer to
you're the
you-
one who walked out into the hallway.
Sorry, you must have cut out on my end because I just did not hear part of that. What are you? Were you the one who saw me in the alley?
Yes. I'm glad to see that that relationship has progressed. I was always
great.
rooting for you.
Oh, that's. Let's walk and talk. That's what puts his arm around him. Let's walk and.
Talia just says, "Keep him out of trouble."
Do we
From
both say?
inside the room, you hear Nara go, "Bye, you!"
Bye, Nara.
She was referring to me, not you. You gotta know at this point, having the name that just refers to people in the third person
It's the
is
only
like
thing I was
intentionally.
ever referred to as.
You know what? You could think of other mouth sounds to make for yourself. You know that, right?
I mean,
could be-
normally they have titles, or Nara was the only one with a name.
I wish I knew more about how your lives were for me to really complain about that, but Nara's told me enough that I can't even give you grief about it.
It was trying.
That's a word for it, all right.
And you travel off with you.
Who? Okay. You.
So with information gathered and a mission set forth, all that remains now is gathering ingredients and, of course, finding all of the right information, all of the right intel. And there's one person who was there who knew it all. As we pan back out above the time stream, looking down into the timeline, at Denier Prime. Soon, it shall be time for the merger. And that's where we'll end today's session.
Wow.
Okay. Alrighty.
Intradasting.
It's about to go down, y'all.
Much is about to go down. The end of the beginning has just begun. Or the beginning of the end has
you know what?
happened
You know
now.
We're now at the end of the middle. Yeah.
No,
that's
the
right.
end of the middle happened a while ago. This is the beginning of the end. The end of the beginning of the end, even.
This was a mistake. You think this is a three arc structure? This is a 5 arc structure.
Either way, welcome back, and we'll see you
The
next
ties
time.